The following is general advice only and should not be construed as accounting, legal, or any other professional advice. The details of your situation are fact dependent, and you are advised to seek the help of a competent professional. Thank you. Welcome back to another action-packed edition of Cpa Review, the official podcast of meaningless.com. As always, I am your humble host, Jeff Elliott, on new location. So I just leased an office space, so we are officially legit. So I don't think I'll ever be legit, but all right. So on today's show, I'm way backed up, and I have a couple of excuses. Number one, I had a baby 3 weeks ago, so which is why I can get away with not shaving. Number two, I've been watching a lot of Duck Dynasty lately. Again, why I can get away, because Phil Robertson says, in his opinion, the only people who should shave are women and children. Or that's not what he said. No, people who should not have facial hair are women and children. So, all right. On today's show, you can hit me up on the podcast hotline. Area code 323-834-9132. That's 323-834-9132. We'll get you in on, that's the ninja hotline or whatever I'm calling it these days. So, but today's show is going to be 100% mailbox oriented. You can go to another71.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, click Ask Jeff, and it will appear in a future edition of the podcast. And so when I put that out there and people ask me questions, they probably have an expectation that I will answer them. I currently have 31 unanswered questions, so let's hit it. Jared writes, I took audit, used my video course, Ninja Notes, and the Wiley Test Bank, and got my worst score ever. I left the exam feeling super confident, and now I don't know where to go. I'm taking BEC at the end of May, and I'm thinking of putting audit away for a while and starting fresh with either reg or FAR. What do you suggest I do first? Do I need a new course? Well, Jared, if you're super bummed about auditing and you don't even want to look at it, that's fine. You can set it aside, because it really doesn't matter if you take auditing, reg, or FAR next, because for auditing, like let's say you didn't put what score you had, but let's say you scored 71. You're not 4 points away, you're 75 points away. So whatever exam you take next, you are going to have to go 100% through your course again, do everything that you did before, and then some. And I wonder if you did enough multiple choice questions. I don't know that. But usually when people fail, I say, okay, how many multiple choice questions did you do? Well, I did a few after each chapter. You got to do a ton. For motivational purposes, maybe you jump into regulation or FAR next, although I don't think FAR is what the doctor ordered for keeping you motivated. FAR has a tendency to demotivate you. So I would either take audit or regulation next. Nabil writes, I failed my first attempt at FAR. I'm having a hard time retaining the information. Do you have any tips or easy ways to get points so I can pass? There are no easy ways to get points. One thing you can do is, there's so much information in FAR. So people watch the review course and they have like 50 hours of lectures or something crazy. And so how do you remember 50 hours of information? Well, you're going to forget some of it. And so one way to remember like the key points is to use something like Marketing Alert, the Ninja Notes. And people watch their Mamma Jamma review course and then stay fresh with the Ninja Notes. That's one way to do it. You can get some free Ninja Notes. Go to another71.com, click study video, and you'll get some free Ninja Notes. I think governmental accounting is the freebie there. So at least get some free Ninja Notes, get some free governmental accounting notes. You have to watch all your videos and take killer notes, work multiple choice questions after you've watched all of the videos. If you click study video, you'll get the Ninja framework. The method that the review courses use, don't do that. Do the Ninja method. I don't care if you buy any Ninja products. The Ninja method is free. I came up with it. I own it, but it's free. So use it. Essentially, you watch all your videos before, like if your review instructor says, okay, watch video 1 and then do all the questions after chapter 1, don't do that, because you're going to have to redo those later. It's an inefficient use of time. And so people swear by the Ninja method because it works. Use the Ninja method, click study videos, you'll get it all free. Ken writes, I started studying for reg in February. I'm scheduled to take the exam in May. Do you have any words of encouragement? So he started in February, March, April, May. So you're looking at 3 to 4 months of studying time. That's way too long, Ken. And I don't want to discourage you, but you've spread the material out over such a long period of time. I worry that you're long story short, you need to like sit down and review everything. So whatever you studied in February, basically restudy it again, because you don't know it anymore. And the best way to do that is to work a ton of multiple choice questions. Use something like the Wiley Test Bank. And so just because you studied something in February does not mean that you know it now in May. So keep that in mind. As far as words of encouragement, because what I just said was probably a little bit deflating. I'm just trying to keep it real, yo. Everyone struggles with time management on regulation. It's a tough exam, and they give you a ton of time in auditing, and they don't give you enough time in regulation. That's something that they should tweak. They don't ask me what I think. And so if you go in there on exam day, you're like, dude, it's okay. Everyone says dude with reg. So just obviously you have to know tax. Everyone knows tax. But don't neglect to study business law. Because business law is still like 40% of your exam. If you don't know agency law as well as you know gift and estate tax, not good. So, but as far as my words of encouragement, everyone hates reg. Everyone thinks that the time crunch is terrible. So Gail writes, what percentage of candidates pass all 4 parts of the exam on their first try? I don't think the AICPA or NASBA has ever come out and say it, but in a candidate bulletin a few years back, they released some information, and if you backed into the numbers, if I remember right, it came out to be like 28%. So 25 to 30% of candidates pass the first time. So the CPA exam has a 25 to 30% first time pass rate. I think the overall pass rate, so everyone who sits down and takes one exam, I think 80% of those people end up passing eventually. So Rose says, I am currently studying for reg and struggling with contract law, particularly common law. I've read the Wiley chapter twice, read the Ninja notes a few times, and spent one entire day watching videos by a law professor on YouTube. I feel like I have a good grasp on the material until I practice multiple choice questions. Any words of wisdom? All right, when you're struggling with something like contract law or something like that, I think as accountants we can be OCD, and don't, like, if you're struggling in an area, don't just contract law is one little sliver of everything that you have to know for reg. And if you get crazy and just focus on the contract law, you're going to fail. And so it's okay to spend a few hours like hitting it intensively, but at some point you have to know the basics. So you're working multiple choice questions. Let's say you work 20 questions in study mode on the Wiley Test Bank. every question has 3 learning opportunities. Why one answer is correct, why the other 3 are wrong. As you work through the questions, get out a legal pad and write down these little fact nuggets. And pretty soon, you work 20 questions, you work 40 questions total. You've got a pretty killer crib sheet of stuff that you need to know for reg, for contract law, and just read that and then move on. Chad writes, I passed BEC but failed far and odd by 4 and 5 points. Do you know of any tutoring available to help me raise my score? I do not believe in CPA exam tutoring. I believe that if you have a review course worth its salt, you can watch the videos and pass. People on the forum want to get together with other candidates and study in person. And that is a poor use of time because, this isn't college. This is a one-on-one exam, and you study. You should study by yourself, watch your videos. Maybe like have a spouse or a significant other or someone quiz you or something. But even then, you have your iPhone flashcards or whatever. So I don't believe in tutoring because some tutor cannot sit down and walk you through FAR any better than what you paid your thousands and thousands of dollar course to do. So you failed far and odd by 4 and 5 points. Go back through what you did the first time. Watch all the videos. Add some supplementary materials like Marketing Alert, Ninja Notes, or the Wiley Test Bank or something like that. Something to get you over the hump. If you have a commute, you can stick the old Ninja Audio on the iPhone. I don't know, you can see my cracked screen. This is what happens when when you're stubborn and don't buy a protector. So anyway, my kids asked me if I was going to replace it. And I thought, this is a teachable moment. When you take risks, there are consequences. And if you can just go buy a new iPhone, which I could because I get like $100 replacement phone through my plan, sometimes you just got to suffer the consequences for your actions, children. Michael writes, I failed far and odd. I got made fun of because I called auditing odd. And anyway, so I failed far and auditing. And I'm lost on what to do next. Before each exam, I was averaging at least 75 on the Wiley multiple choice questions, but came up short on the actual exam. What should I do? Well, if you had a 75 on the multiple choice questions, were you working like practice exams? If so, don't do that. I am not a proponent of working practice exams. Number one, it can give you a false sense of hope. Any testing software does not use the same psychometrics that the AICPA does. So even if you score 75% on your practice exam, that doesn't mean 75 on the actual CPA exam because they score it all goofy. And also, so let's say you invest 3 to 4 hours doing an actual practice exam. That's 3 to 4 hours of study time you just killed. And what do you really learn by working 90 multiple choice questions in exam mode? Nothing. Okay, great. I scored a 68%. Well, what does that mean? You are far better off working like 20 question mini testlets over a certain topic. So what are you studying for? FAR and auditing. So for financial accounting and reporting, you're weak on governmental accounting. Work 20 questions of governmental accounting multiple choice questions in study mode. So you click the answer, you see the answer explanation, and you move on. So you're weak, but as you read each answer explanation, you're building a knowledge base. And so as you work your second set of 20 multiple choice questions in study mode over governmental accounting, you're scoring better, you're learning more. Multiple choice questions are an integral part of the learning process. They are equally, if not more important than watching your study videos. Can you just watch study videos and go in and pass? I say no. Can you just work multiple choice questions and go in and pass? Not a best practice, but you can do it. Okay? People do it. It's not a best practice, but you can do it. Can you just listen to a bunch of theory and go in and pass? No. I say you can't. Others might disagree. Kevin says, I graduated in 2009 and I'm ready to study for the CPA exam, but I don't know where to start. I don't want to spend a lot of money on a review course unless I have a solid plan. My current job is unrelated to accounting, so I may need a refresher on some of the concepts. What do you recommend I do? Kevin, any review course. Well, I know some review courses have the reputation to be more of a review, and so they kind of take a not a $30,000 foot view of the material, which is what I would say that Ninja Notes would be, but they take more like a 15 to 20,000 foot view of the material, where some people might need a 5,000 foot view of the material. So what you do is, do you need to bust out your old accounting books? No, I would not do that. It might be an effective use of time, but it is not an efficient use of time auditing people. And so whatever review course you are contemplating, you can ask people at the CPA Exam Forum at another71.com. Go to another71.com, click CPA Exam Forum. Like, hey, what review course? I don't know. If you ask people on the forum what review course is best, you'll have people that failed with company A, that passed with company B, that now hate company A. You have people that passed with company A and only use company A and preach the company A gospel anyway. People pass and fail with every review course under the sun. So what course matches your learning style? You got to watch demos. What course matches your budget? Are you going to go into debt? Are you going to drop the equivalent of a really nice cruise on a review course when you could have just... Anyway, what's your budget? What's your learning style? I would not bust out the old college textbooks, because, by the way, those are all outdated. Rebecca writes, I'm a student in a MS accounting program, getting her master's. I'm only 12 hours away from the 150-hour threshold required to sit for the CPA exam, but I lack the work experience requirement for licensure. I'm thinking about quitting the MS program after I complete the 12 hours I need and study for the exam instead. Is this a good idea? Should I complete the master's program first? Rebecca, I did exactly what you're talking about. I started a master's program and then bolted when I had my 150 hours, because I could have written your question, because I had like 138, 139 hours. I needed like 11 for my 150. Because we all know that if you go back to school and take business law and advanced tax in your master's program, that you are now more equipped to protect the public interest. I mean, passing the CPA exam is not enough. No, you need those extra 12 hours. Now you're legit. So I did not finish my master's in accounting because, quite frankly, after I was done with the exam, I wasn't going back and sitting in stupid classes. Especially after, being a CP, passing the CPA exam and then going and sitting in classes with people who are just now looking into an NTS. No, thank you. You're 12 hours away. So I don't know. Are you working full time? Doesn't say. If you're working full time, think how long it will take you to get those 12 hours. Let's say you take, 6 hours per semester. That's like 2 night classes. That's another year. Okay. Or at least a semester plus a summer. If it were me and it's what I did, I would bolt and take the exam. Ultimately, you need to do what is best for you, because only you know. But that's what I did and what I would probably do if I were in your shoes. Eric writes, can you please explain how the 18-month rule works? How do I know when my credit will expire? Well, when you go in and take your exam and you pass that exam, that's when the 18-month window starts. But some states say the clock starts when you took that exam. Some states say that the clock starts at the end of the month when you took that exam. So if you go in and if you went and took your exam on April 18th and passed it and then up passing, some states your clock starts April 18th. Some states your clock starts April 30th. It's a state-by-state issue. Ask your state. I know all about the 18-month rule because I lost my financial accounting and reporting credit due to it. Actually, it's not because of the 18-month rule. It's because I was lazy. Brandon writes, in your opinion, how important are the performance measures included on each score report? I think that the performance measures on the score report are extremely important. If you're grilling and you need something to light a fire, or if your car goes off in a snowbank and it's extremely cold and you're in danger of being frostbit, I think the performance measures on your score report could in fact save your life if you light them on fire. But in those two instances, I think that the performance measures are important. That's my smart aleck way of saying that. I mean, great, they give that to you. What does it really tell you? Because people are like, yo, I scored a I don't think anyone's actually said yo. Can you tell I grew up watching Rocky? And I watch Rocky marathons on TBS or whatever. So people are like, hey, this says that I'm either comparable or stronger than candidates in every area. Like, how in the world did I fail? I was like, I don't know. It's not a very transparent process. So I would either recycle that score sheet or save it for an emergency situation. Spencer writes, for the simulation portion of my reg exam, will I be graded against others who had my sims or against the aggregate population of CPA candidates in general? Well, the official statement by the AICPA is that the CPA exam is not curved. Now, there are quite a few people who don't believe that because there are certain questions that are pretest and don't count, and also certain questions are medium difficulty and hard difficulty. How do you know what questions to lump in to actually use for the exam? How do you know which questions should be medium and should be hard unless you're comparing candidate performance across the board on those questions? And what role does that performance play in one's overall exam score? I mean, I think that bit of information is locked somewhere next to the formula for Coca-Cola and the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. All right, how are we doing on time here? 23 minutes. All right, let's do a few more. Navneet, I'm terrible at names. Navneet writes, I passed the exam in 2011, but I'm having a difficult time getting a job with the CPA firm. I have 2 years of private company experience in the accounting department. Do you have any suggestions for finding a job? Well, your best window of opportunity to get your foot in the door in a small accounting firm was tax season, and it's passed, obviously, because that's when people are like swamped. But like I just said, I got this. I'm leasing this office space here. There's a CPA firm in the building above me, and they can't find enough talent. They cannot find an audit manager, and I found that interesting because my impression was like, man, CPAs are taking jobs as like AP clerks, because I have seen people on the forum like, yo, okay, no more yos. If I say yo, everyone drink. All right. because people are saying, hey, I passed the exam, I can't get a freaking job. And but apparently that's not the case everywhere. So to get your foot in the door, man, I would just walk. I'd put your suit on, make a good impression. I'd walk into every small mom and pop CPA firm. They might not even have enough CPAs to call themselves a CPA firm. They might just be an accounting firm with a CPA owner, or there might be an accounting firm with one CPA owner and a couple other non-CPA owners or something like that. Whatever the ratio is, it's ethics, man. So I would get your what do they call it, like a folio, get like a nice leather folio, and get your resume looking good, and walk into every CPA firm. Ask to speak with a partner. I mean, don't pass it off to Betty Sue at the front desk, because Betty Sue, I don't know, she might set it. Who knows? Ask to speak with a partner, and if one's not available, ask if you can come back later or when would be a good time, and let them meet you face to face and say, hey, I'm a CPA. My goal is to work in public accounting. I would really appreciate an opportunity. I'm willing to lighten your load to take on some bookkeeping clients of yours. I'm willing, I want to learn 940s, 941s, any liquor stores that you do the books for. I'll do their liquor store tax. I'd love to do sales. I'd love to do sales tax. Spoken like someone who hasn't done a million sales tax returns. Those get old. But hey, I would like to lighten your load and get my foot in the door. Will you please give me a chance here? And then see what they say. And just get used to like, no, sorry, we just finished up with busy season. We're having trouble keeping our current staff engaged or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Thank you. Here's my resume in case you ever have a need. And then move on, and then just keep on going. Google CPA firm and go to every single one. And if you don't hear back, pick up the phone 2 weeks later or a week later. Send them a follow-up email. Do both. Do all the above. Send them a letter, send them a handwritten letter. Hey, it was really nice to meet you the other day. I'm very interested in your firm. You have to go above them. If you want a job, and especially in, quote, this economy, you have to go above and beyond. Be memorable. Because who writes a handwritten letter? Who delivers some people will hand off a resume in person, but who writes a handwritten letter or a follow-up thank you? Not many people. And so if your resume is up to par, boom, you might get the job. Okay, so I just realized that during this entire podcast, I was not recording the video. And so please disregard my previous comments about me not shaving or anything like that, because I'm actually very clean shaven, and I am doing this podcast wearing a 3-piece suit because I'm extremely professional. So disregard those previous comments.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
See that? He's being funny.
Okay, so a few minutes ago, prior to the podcast, I went to my Facebook page. By the way, if you don't like me on Facebook, that really hurts my feelings. But what are we up to? Another 71 Facebook page is up to 22,800 and some. So that's not too shabby. That is approximately 22,500 more people that actually like me in real life. So anyway, I said, hey, if you have a question for today's podcast, drop it below. So Brock writes, is the 10-point combo enough to study material to pass auditing, or do you recommend purchasing a full review course and using the 10-point combo along with the purchased videos and book? Brock, I recommend using a full review course along with it. Of course, that is just a best practice because, it's your money. It's not my money. So why, of course, I'm going to say, go ahead and buy a full review course in addition to the 10-point combo. But the truth is, some people have passed using only the 10-point combo and like a Wiley book. So, do you have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in order to pass the exam? No. Have people passed using only a Wiley book and the 10-point combo? Yes. If I were studying today, would I use a full review course or would I use a 10-point combo? I don't know. I might give the old Wiley book and 10-point combo a try, and then spend my money elsewhere. JJ says, "Hey Jeff, my question relates to your Ninja framework. I was looking over the framework for the note-taking section, and I saw that it suggests taking good notes from whatever review course one may have. However, all I have are the Wiley books and test bank along with the Ninja audio. Is it necessary to purchase a video course?" It's almost like the previous question. People have this on their minds. So far, I've been reading and taking notes from the Wiley text. However, I feel the organization of the books isn't the best. Do you suggest using the Wiley text and making notes while reading through them? Also, I tried your suggestion of taking a ton of multiple choice questions before reg, but came out of the exam feeling more demoralized than ever. I'm guessing that's normal. Take care and thank you for all that you do. Well, JJ, I would read the Wiley book. I mean, of course, a video course and spending the money, especially one that uses a Wiley book, it's going to be easier because the instructor says, hey, this is what's in the Wiley book, and you take notes. You, on the other hand, would be reading the Wiley book yourselves, but in, of course, saving yourself thousands of dollars. So there's a trade-off there. So it is a tougher road. It can be done. So yes, I would take notes using the Wiley book if you did not want to create a video course. Man, it sounds like I just need to create a video course, a full video course. Which I think maybe I'll try to release that summer or fall. Only people who listen to this podcast will know my secret plan. Because I definitely think there is an opportunity in the marketplace for a review course that does not cost the equivalent of a nice Alaskan cruise. Or a really nice iMac. Or two really nice iMacs. Or an iMac and a MacBook Pro and an iPad mini. Okay. Enough about that. So, I would take notes, yes, but ultimately, if you're struggling with taking notes, take notes over the multiple choice questions. Okay, so you work a question, you miss the concept, read the answer explanation, and take notes over that. That's what I would do if you're struggling with taking notes just from the Wiley book. Lena writes, any advice to pass regulation? It's my first time taking it. Do not downplay the business law section of regulation. And the easiest way to learn the business law section of regulation is to use like my Ninja notes and then do a ton of multiple choice questions over the in the Wiley test bank. I would not watch video lectures from review courses over business law. I would work a ton of multiple choice questions and use the Ninja notes. And also, Lena, when you go in there, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, regulation is a beast on exam day. You will be pressed for time. Do not. Here's my number one tip. Here we go. Everyone listening? Do not get hung up on a question. Because let's say you're working some tax calculation question and you're just obsessing about it. You can't get the numbers to work out, and so you don't move on. You are destined to fail if you do that enough times, because there's just not enough time to get through all those multiple choice questions and through the simulations if you nitpick every single question. You just got to set a limit. Boom, I'm not getting this. Okay, I'm going to pick B or C. If you're hung up, pick B or C and move on, and don't go back. Once I do not recommend flagging questions. Once you make a decision, move on, because it's on, baby. You just got to go. Otherwise, you're going to cut yourself. Otherwise, this is what exactly happened to me. I ended up with 15 minutes to do. This is back when they only had 2 simulations, but they were huge. Now you have like 1 simulation, but like 6 or 7 tabs. But back then, you were supposed to allot 45 minutes per sim. I got OCD on the multiple choice questions, like in Testlet 1 or 2, and it cost me on my second sim because I had like 15 minutes. And not good. Jason writes, Jeff, I was 7 points away from passing far. Having been stronger in the sims comparatively, I feel like it's just a matter of misreading the multiple choice questions that got me. That said, my class for reg is starting up, and the next class for FAR isn't until September. Should I study on my own and attempt both in the July-August window? I would do both, and I would not. I mean, what does a class do? I know some classes they just pop a DVD in or something, or unless it's an actual instructor just busting out the dry erase board live. You can do the same thing from the comfort of your own home, and it's more efficient. You can do it like 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. after work. You don't have to just go to drive and go to some stupid class and wait for people to show up, and people got to take a bathroom break, and you can just do that all on your own. It's much more efficient and cheaper because you're not eating out, and you can toss a bologna sandwich and cheese into the microwave. Have you ever done that? I used to have a boss who used to love bologna sandwiches, and I was like, well, I haven't had bologna since I was like 2, or not 2, like 8. and so you take a slice of Kraft cheese and a piece of bologna and melt it. It's not half bad if you're in a pinch. Tessa says, how long do you suggest to review before the exam? I'll have time to allow 6 weeks to study, but I didn't know how fast I needed to get through the material to leave enough time for review. Should I plan on taking 2 weeks like my review course suggests? Tessa, you didn't write what exam you're taking, but if it's auditing, if it's like reg or BEC, 6 weeks should be all right. If it's auditing, maybe 7. If it's financial, maybe 8. But if you're busting out 20 to 25 weeks or 25 hours a week, you can do any exam in 6 weeks. It's still tight with financial, but you should allow 6 weeks to review. Now, your review instructor is not going to tell you to spend that first week rewriting your notes, but I'm telling you to do that. And that's all predicated on the assumption that you actually do take notes while you're watching the videos, because if you don't take notes while you're watching the videos, none like highlighting and none of that doesn't work. Just highlighting and stuff, like what does highlighting mean to you anyway? You need to bust out the legal pads, just scribble furiously, and then 2 weeks out from your exam, take those notes and rewrite them. And 2 little fact nuggets that will aid you on exam day: just coloring pretty fluorescent colors over cheap thin paper is not going to help you remember what you need to know on exam day. And so 2 weeks out, rewrite your notes. It might take a week. Then your final week before your exam, you're doing multiple choice questions, starting with your weakest area first and working backwards, working 20 question mini testlets in study mode, like over governmental accounting or whatever, and doing those until you're scoring like 70%. It's an arbitrary amount, and then that's an arbitrary number, and then you move on to your next week. It's like bonds or leases or pensions or whatever. I'm just using FAR as an example. If you're 1 week out from your exam, do not start rewriting your notes. There's not enough time. Labrita writes, I failed BEC with a 71. How do I study for a retake? Labrita, you have to do exactly what you did before. You have to go through your entire review course again, plus do something different. If you didn't do enough multiple choice questions, ultimately you know that. If you need to add some supplementary materials like the 10-point combo marketing alert, then you can do that too. You can send me an email, Labrita, and I'll hook you up with a discount. All right, everyone. Well, that does it for today. Hey, 40-minute podcast. That's not too shabby. So thanks again. Send me your questions. Go to another71.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner. Click Ask Jeff, and it will appear in a future edition of the podcast. Or you can hit me up on the Ninja hotline, as always. Area code 323-834-9132. If you previously called the Ninja hotline, I apologize. I did not do the Ninja hotline today, and so I'm going to make it up to you double next time by giving away 2 10-point combo lights as promised. Hopefully I'll hit that next week. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great week. Be good. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.